Good afternoon, everybody. Hola.
Hola, Coach.
Coach, I feel like every week we talk about new guys coming in and you guys having to kind of work in different rotations, different guys. It's a little different than offense and defense where you have a system that's plugged in, but with special teams it's so consistently moving. How do you continue to emphasize with these young guys stepping in that to try to buy into what you want them to do?
Yeah, I just try to remind them of the standard that we want around here. Obviously, special teams in the last few years around here hasn't been great, and I know this year people are saying we aren't good on certain phases. We're trying to create a standard, a culture around here where guys want to be part of special teams and they have to perform if they're out there on the field for us. They're here. Once again, I said this last week, they're here for a reason because we believe they're talented football players and they can contribute and help us win football games. So, Jalen Virgil, he stepped up a little bit. Brandon Johnson, we haven't asked him to do anything, but he needs to be available and ready to go if we need him. So the younger guys moving in and out of the roster, they need to know there's no drop-off. They can't take plays off. They have to perform like the older guys, and we are missing a lot of older guys, unfortunately.
Corliss had 3 punts that were sub 3.7 or so in hang time on Sunday. It seems like he's had a few more of those in recent weeks. Is there something going on with him that's kind of affecting that?
I don't think there's anything going on with him, but just and I'll share a little bit of the game plan. The game plan was to limit the touches of 13. Now, did I tell him to go out there and punt the ball down the middle of the field with low hang time and things of that sort? Absolutely not. But to limit that guy's touches, being a dynamic returner as he is, to limit him to 1 return for 3 yards is outstanding. Corliss actually finished the game, and I know his net wasn't good, but his average was okay. So, yes, he knows he needs to perform. He knows he needs to be more consistent as far as distance and location. I will keep saying that as well. He can't keep putting the ball down the middle of the field. He can't have those low hang times, especially when we're facing good returners like we've done all year long.
Tyreek Hill's not there anymore, but what do you see from the Chiefs' return? I know he's not at every down, but
they've used 3 or 4 different punt returners. They've had some issues back there, but they're all capable of making plays. 84, 19, 24 has been back there as well. They're very capable returners of getting explosive returns. I've told our guys that they know we need to do on punt coverage.
They have a pretty high standard of excellence on the special teams for many years now. Is that something that you look forward to going up against and testing your guys against them?
We look forward to getting challenged every week, and Dave Tobe has done a great job in Kansas City. They have players, right? They've built their roster where the 5th and 6th player at each position is a special teams player. They're physical, they're fast. I mean, our guys have seen that on tape. If you can't get excited for that challenge, then you shouldn't be playing football, really.
Everything seemed right on the final kick, except for the kick. What happened on that 63-yarder at the end?
It's a long field goal, right? 63 yards. I don't know too many NFL kickers that are consistently kicking 63 and 64-yard field goals. That's just not, the situation you want to put your kicker in. Now, if it's a must-win type situation, you absolutely got to go for that kick in that situation. All he needed to do was, and you can't tell him to drive it in that situation either, right? Because he'll kick it in a stack. Calais Campbell has 10 field goal blocks. So he had to get elevation on that. He might have undercut it a little bit, whatever the case may be. He didn't have the distance, but he had the right location.
How did you see him manage that quad issue? I think Nate said that popped up late last week. And does that concern you at all, this weekend?
100%. I tried to stay away from that and let, coach talk about that situation. But kicker has a leg injury, obviously going to affect not only his leg, but him mentally because now he knows he has to do extra as far as kicking to get the power on the ball. Some of those kicks we wanted touchbacks last week. It didn't go that way. You know that Brandon is hurting a little bit, but we're not going to use that as an excuse. He has to perform if he's out there, and that's what we expect him to do this weekend.
would you be better off with Corliss maybe kicking off then? Is that an option?
I don't want to get into our game plan or what we're going to do or who's going to kick. We expect Brandon to kick, and if he's out there, we expect him to execute. He tried to set me up with that one.
What has been your impression of Alex Singleton, a guy who is, he's playing more and more on defense but continues to contribute for you? What's just been your impression of the year that he's had?
I actually love Alex Singleton, the way he prepares himself, the way he goes out and he attacks, whether it's defense or special teams. Obviously, he's starting on defense now. We miss him on special teams, but I'm happy for Alex because of the success that he's having. He's a professional. Like if you just watch him in the meetings, taking notes, then you watch him transfer that to the field, whether it's defense or special teams. He's one of the players that you would like to have as a core special teams player, 100%.
You've mentioned getting challenged by opponents on kickoff return, and obviously Tucker had those 3 kicks that were at the goal line or shorter. What are you seeing from your kickoff return the last couple weeks, and do you think you're getting closer to opponents not being willing to challenge you guys on kick return?
It's another setup question, but I'm going to answer that. Baltimore actually had a pop-up kick as well, right? So a lot of teams now are starting to pop the ball up to the 20, 25-yard line, and we have guys back there that are in place to catch the ball and return it. To answer the other part of the question, I'm irritated by getting challenged every weekend. It's football, right? And I'm a prideful person as well as I'm a highly competitive person. I compete in everything. If it's my kids, I'm going to compete versus them. If it's the next man, I'm going to compete versus them. That's what I'm trying to instill in our players. If they decide to kick the ball down the middle of the field and give us an opportunity to return it, we have to make them pay at some point in time, not just one time, but consistently. And it's not just so that we build our stats on kickoff return. We are trying to win a football game. We need to provide positive field position for our offense. If we can give them the short field, we'll have a chance to score. And that's what I keep trying to tell our guys. We have to affect the game in some fashion, positively affect the game, not in a negative way. And we want to consistently be an explosive kickoff return team. Guys have to take pride in getting their blocks. Keep my man off the stat sheet. I'm going to be in between my man and the returner at the end of the play. That's the only thing that I'm going to accept as a player, right? And that's what I'm trying to get those guys to understand. Like, there is no room for second-guessing yourself. There is no room for saying, I missed this block or I didn't execute. We have to execute at a high level. We have to get kickoff return started. We have to get it going. We have to help our offense with field position. And that's what I'm going to keep saying to our guys.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have
Thanks,
a wonderful day.
Coach, seems like heading into this week, you guys will have ideally the same starting lineup for the 3rd consecutive game in a row. How big is that, and what have you noticed from that starting unit the last couple of weeks and back-to-back weeks in terms of consistency, pass protection, run blocking?
As a whole offense, you're just saying the front 5?
Front 5, yeah.
Front 5, it's anytime you get reps with each other, it's going to help out, it's going to benefit the whole offense. And it's not only that position, but just staying in tune with everything else. As far as the group up front, I thought they, held their own as far as, going against a really good defensive line. We all knew going into it that they were highly ranked in sacks. Taking a little bit off their plate with the game plan, as you probably saw, and how we're going to attack those guys and keep it on the ground a little bit more and keep our quarterback upright. That was a group that's played at a high level, and with our group being together for the 2nd time in a row at that point, we felt like that was going to be the best option.
What does Albert O need to kind of show to work his way back into being an option, especially with so many receivers down, maybe going with more 2-3 tight end sets?
Yeah, it's overall like the consistency throughout everything. It's in meetings, it's a practice, in those situations. And the other thing he factors into is special teams and how he fits in that world as far as numbers and who's up that game. So, Albert's been staying with everything as far as the meetings and just the reps and staying in tune with everything. But at this point, you got to start looking and finding other ways to fill those holes that we're losing in other spots.
Nathaniel talked about Jerry toughing it out this past weekend. What do you see from him, and just how does he change the offense when he's out there?
For Jerry, coming back and not being able to practice, I think he did a great job. I think Friday was his first full speed day, so going into it on Sunday, I think he played fast. He was a vertical threat for us. He did a great job, and I think Azani did a really good job as far as monitoring his reps and using him when we needed him.
Sutton looks like it's going down as Jerry comes back. How frustrating is it that it's just been one thing after another on the receiver group, and how much do you think that's impacted your offensive struggles?
Yeah, every year is a little bit different with adversity. It comes in different forms and different issues. This year being injuries, it's being consistent in different spots to keep the quarterback able to be comfortable with those positions, especially throwing and catching. So, with the amount of rotating chairs at that position, I think those guys have done a really good job mentally, and I think each and every week they're getting better and they're playing faster. We talked about the football IQ last week. I think they grew again this week. But, you can always get frustrated with all the things that get thrown at you. You just got to find ways to just adapt and overcome those things.
What makes Chris Jones unique?
I'll tell you what, he's a jack of all trades. He can do everything. They do a good job of moving him around, and It's almost like a 50-50 percentage of where he's going to line up. So I think they did a great job with that. And you got to account for, not only him, but, Frank and just doing a great job of, keeping them out of the backfield. And you got to have a better plan because throughout the game, it seems like he gets stronger. And that's pretty rare for his size and his, the ability to just keep playing over and over again and not come out of the game. So, he's going to be a big challenge for us.
2 out of Russell's 3 better outings in terms of completion percentage are the last 3 weeks, and I think that sort of coincided with playing a little bit heavier. Is that correlated, and why do you think that is? If that's the case?
I think he's, getting more adapted to what he feels comfortable with and kind of putting that more in the plan and dressing it up in different spots and, getting him, a clean read here or there down the field, mediocre throws or just underneath. So just getting more comfortable with, obviously who's out there and, with what he's used to, being around. I think we've done a better job as far as adapting to those things. And then obviously getting the run game to match that as much as possible. You can start to see the success and be a little bit more comfortable with his choices.
With Mike Boone now having a week under his belt, do you expect him to have a bigger role this week and in the weeks moving forward?
Absolutely. I think, he's a different element back there, with Latavius and him, he's the speed element. You can catch out of the backfield, you can line him up in different spots. So the second week I see him going up.
With Brandon dealing with that injury, are you guys going to think twice about going from 60 plus this week, or is that you still trust him for that range?
What's that? Sorry.
Do you still trust him from that range, 60 plus, despite the injury he's dealing with, Brandon McManus?
I trust what our special teams coaches. That's not my world. We just we get a mark and we try to hit it as much as possible or get close to it, and then after that, it's basically what they trust him to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, what do you make of the inside linebackers, Josie and Alex, just kind of their chemistry and where it stands? I know obviously Alex has been playing special teams and you've had injuries. What do you like about it right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're both playing really well, playing at a high level, and, it's been great to see. We envisioned this for Josie, and it's been great to see Alex take advantage of the opportunities he's gotten, and, every time he's been on the field, starting in preseason, he's produced, and produced at a very high level. And, that's what it's all about, that's one thing we preach to the guys is everybody's going to get an opportunity, and what do you do when you get those opportunities? You're going to shine and allow you to have these type of deals where you can become a starter and do some great things in your career, or you're going to not live up to those expectations. So he's done a great job.
Coach, as well as the defense has played, what's been the most frustrating part for you to give up scores late in games that's happened this year?
Yeah, we got to finish better. We got to do it from all ends, coaches, players, and, it's been very frustrating. And I just think it's probably the same sentiment for the whole team. We just feel like we're right there, and we just haven't got it done. And,
have you been able to put a finger on why it's happened?
There's a lot of reasons, but at the end of the day, we just got to be better in all facets at the end.
Coach, is it possible that the Chiefs' offense is better without Tyreek Hill?
I haven't played against them since 2018, and they were pretty good. We played them. I don't know if you guys remember the Monday night game. It was 52-48. So we beat them, but it wasn't a great feeling for me. But I just feel like they've just been a great team over the years. Great, they're well coached. Obviously, one of the best coaches of all time, and they got a great quarterback. And I think they just do a good job with their personnel of utilizing them and featuring their strengths. So.
Especially inside the red zone, inside the 10-yard line, how much do they test your eyes as a defense?
Yeah, no, they really do. There's a lot going on, and we just got to do a good job reading your keys and being disciplined, and you got to make plays too and keep the quarterback in the pocket.
What makes Travis Kelce so tough to slow down?
He's crafty, deceptively athletic, hard to tackle after the catch. Probably the best separator at any position, receiver, tight end in the league. He's a hell of a player.
What do you see when you watch Mahomes on film? Last year he had a little bit of a slump the first 8 games, and basically since then he's probably played his best football.
Yeah. Well, I related back to, like I was saying, 2018. I felt like when we played him 4 years ago, he was a lot more in the pocket, and now there's a lot more outside the pocket and keeping things alive. Still with the ability to play in the pocket as well. But, yeah, he's tough. He's, obviously one of the best in the league.
What was your impression of the way the pass rush responded this past week?
They did a good job. We had a couple instances where we didn't have the proper contain, but I thought for the most part our guys did a great job of executing the rush plan, keeping them in the pocket, and then we made some plays one-on-one where we got some sacks from Coop and Barron and D. Will. So it was good.
How's Nick Benito developing?
Nick is coming along. He's getting better. That's one of those things as a young guy, new to the position in certain ways. He's continuing to work and get better, and that's what he's got to continue to do.
When you have a game like that where defense only gives up 10 points, sets up 3 for the offense on a field goal, what do you kind of do as a coordinator to kind of keep everybody focused and not have them be frustrated with the lack of production in other phases?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think the frustration is not winning the game, but the biggest frustration, I should say. But just like all weeks, regardless of when we play well, when we don't play as well, you always want to celebrate the good things you do, and then you always, whatever we could do better, we want to try to emphasize those things.
Where does Benito have to get better?
All around, continue to be a better run player, and, like a lot of other players, he's got to be better in his all-around game.
To your point about Mahomes being able to get outside the pocket and things like that, he also has the ability to create that outside, but also step up inside and go. How do you coach patience with your defense on that?
I don't know if it's so much patience as just having a great understanding of how we all work together, 5-man rush, 4-man rush, of keeping them in the pocket, and then what needs to happen on the back end in terms of staying with our coverage and plastering.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Coach.